right, give it up for Matt and Elliot. Yes. I was telling them this backstage, but as a Bills fan myself, while I loved the final design of the clock and score, I didn't love the mock-up with the Bills trailing Kansas City. Brought me to a dark place of playoffs past. But Rachel, what do you think the most or the biggest matchup or most intense matchup is in the design world right now?
Go Knicks. But in the design world, it's very much design is dead versus design is alive and thriving and living its very best life and has a whole conference dedicated to it.
Yeah.
I know which team I'm on. Up next, we have Ben, Shown, and Meg Greco to take us behind the scenes into a redesign of NASA.gov. Please welcome Ben and Megan to the stage.
Hear ye, hear ye. The year is 2018, and the 115th Congress of the United States, well, they've got something to say. No longer must we suffer from federal websites so broken, so slow, so confusing that citizens give up. No longer must we endure user experience forged in the fires of 1997. So let's write it into law, and that's when the 21st Century Integrated Digital Experience Act came to be. Or the IDEA bill, if we're being cute with acronyms. And shout out to Representative Ro Khanna from California's 17th District, not too far from here, who is the bill's principal author. The result of this legislation was this: federal agencies having to take a hard look at themselves, to do some soul searching, to figure out how to comply with this new law and deliver better digital experiences to their constituents, to us as citizens. And NASA was no different. Despite having an epic legacy of scientific and technological breakthroughs and a beloved brand known around the globe, NASA's website was abysmal. And this is that story, the story of reimagining and redesigning NASA's digital experience into one incredible NASA.gov. I'm Ben Shown, head of design at Blink UX. We are a product design agency in the business of creating breakthroughs. I led the design effort for this daunting project with NASA, and it needed nothing short of a breakthrough.
And I'm Megan Greco, senior design lead at Greenlight. You might know us as the debit card for kids. But before I joined Greenlight, I had the privilege of working with Ben and the Blink team for years as a principal designer. I'm thrilled to be reunited with him today to share one of my all-time favorite projects. In case anyone was wondering how I prepared for a project like this, I found myself going back to a time in my life when I dated a real rocket engineer. This man was excited to take on the task of designing a couple's costume for us, and I'll truly never forget showing up to that party to find this incredibly flattering, incredibly practical costume made just for me. There is nothing like navigating a house party in a space shuttle box to truly prepare you for a project like this. With these qualifications under my belt, it was time to dig into the problem. And this problem was massive. After decades of unregulated sprawl, the agency's digital experience had grown to over 3,000 separate sites. This lawless growth had created a bit of a mess, from complicated page layouts to inconsistent navigation patterns to an eclectic mix of typefaces, color palettes, URLs, content management systems. It had created a site where every page was a little bit different from the rest, and each one was trying to tell their story louder than the rest. This certainly made for unique experiences, but without the unity and consistency, users were having a hard time connecting to NASA's site. Most of us will think of NASA as one single powerful organization, but in reality, it's a vast network of centers, departments, offices, each with their own team, their own priorities, and their own stories to tell. So while they were each trying to tell their own stories, they were actually duplicating content that already existed. And in the end, people were getting lost, and once they got lost, they weren't coming back. In fact, they were going to more modern sites with better SEO, and the very agency that had taken us to the moon was struggling to get to the top of Google.
So where do you start with something this massive and tangled? How are we going to tackle this? We asked ourselves this. Our client, NASA, asked us of this as well. The bedrock of our approach was to understand our users, to know deeply who was coming to NASA.gov, what their motivations, needs, and quirks were. We also knew that NASA's brand had to evolve to be a better fit for the modern web. We also had to optimize for feedback, to empower the people at NASA to help shape the work, their expertise, their passion, and honestly, a lot more of this guy in the maroon shirt. And only once those foundations were in place could we then start crafting the design system, the concepts, the patterns, the UX and UI that you can see today on NASA.gov. All right, let's dive right into our first big challenge on this project around the audience. Like any responsible designers, we asked our client, okay, who is your target audience? Well, everyone on the planet. NASA had global ambitions. And what do you do when you get this kind of direction where the client says everyone is our user? It all starts with evidence. For us at Blink, research is in our DNA. We've been studying NASA audiences for over a decade. And for this project specifically, we went both broad and deep. And there were two types of research that really guided Megan and I on the design team, helping shape the work from the earliest days of the project. The first was this large 2,000 participant survey to broadly learn about motivations, interests, and pain points with the existing site. But perhaps even more impactful was the qualitative study, 20 in-depth one-on-one interviews, participants from diverse age, ethnicity, income, education, enthusiasm, some people very familiar with NASA, some less so. And this qual work was gold. And that gold came in the form of well-honed and actionable thinking styles. We like to think of thinking styles as the secret sauce of doing people-centered UX. I love them. I find them more immediate and motivating. They give me a clear sense of who I'm designing for and why it matters. User personas, on the other hand, they're like the horoscopes of UX. They're vague, comforting, but rarely useful when the time comes to start designing. While personas tell you who someone is demographically, meet Mackenzie. She's a 28-year-old photographer, likes outer space, follows NASA on social media, and guess what? She owns a telescope. Thinking styles tell you why they care. Meet Mackenzie. She's a dreamer, engaged with speculative concepts, inspired by science fiction and the cosmic scale. And when it comes to NASA, she's interested in future projects and proposals. Unlike personas that often feel like cardboard cutouts, thinking styles are dynamic, motivational, and behavior-driven. They help you move beyond users and to design for humans with quirks and hopes, and in the case of Mackenzie, a bit of cosmic curiosity. And our research yielded 4 thinking styles for audiences of NASA.gov: the pragmatist, the learner, the explorer, and the dreamer. And to make them stick, we cast the roles. So we've got some Muppets here today. Miss Piggy, she's our pragmatist, focused on real-world impact. Beaker, the learner, relentlessly curious. Gonzo, the explorer, pushing the limits. And Kermit, he's our dreamer, led by imagination. These were shaped by real conversations with real people, not rigid personas, but flexible mindsets that let people move in and out as their needs evolve. But there was one thinking style that really drove the work for Megan and I. Let me tell you about Miss Piggy. For years, NASA.gov had unintentionally ghosted the Miss Piggies of the world. People asking, yeah, but how does this help me down here on Earth? And our research showed that they're not anti-science, they're pro-impact, and they're wildly underserved. Climate action, health innovation, real-world solutions, the things that NASA was doing day in and day out, but struggling to tell those stories to the Miss Piggies of the world. This thinking style helped us prioritize design to reach them. For more robust data visualization guidelines here and here, or creating explicit new pages. Pragmatists wanted to know about impacts and benefits, so we built a literal page called Impacts and Benefits that lived on the mission hubs. Designing across these thinking styles unlocked a new level of work for us. It raised the bar, and we started connecting people not just to a website, but to NASA's mission itself. And now over to my collaborator, Megan, to talk about some really exciting parallel work that we did on brand and visual design.
All right, now for the challenge that would keep me up at night. How do you evolve our planet's most iconic brand without breaking it? By a show of hands, who has this book or has looked through this book? Anybody? Okay, yeah, we're a design conference. It is a designer's rite of passage. I mean, if you haven't flipped through this thing or placed it on your designer coffee table or used it as a monitor stand to make your desk more ergonomic, you have not lived as a designer yet. It's government design at its finest. It's no gradients, it's no fluff. It's just bold logo types and clean lines. It also has our preferred logo, the worm. Anybody? OK, we tried, and we did not win that one. It's the OG design system. Long before Figma kits and atomic design, NASA had modular branding down to a science. It even had fashion, and honestly, this is the capsule wardrobe of my dreams. And the legacy of NASA brand wasn't just visual. It was emotional, it was cultural and scientific, and it was woven into how generations of people see discovery, progress, and possibility. And we felt the weight of honoring that past while propelling it into the future. So we started where all great design processes begin, with inspiration. We gathered images from the graphics manual itself, from NASA's massive archive, from data visualizations to UI design, science fiction, nature photography, fine art, anything that captured the spirit of exploration, and we covered every surface we could. With our NASA collaborators, we asked them those simple but revealing questions like, what makes you feel something? What is the feeling you want other people to get when they come to NASA.gov? And these were the images that they had picked. So as we tried to make sense of what we could do with these, we realized there was a pile of images that felt scientific, they were methodical, they were analytical. There was another pile that captured the human element. These were approachable, the passionate, the relatable. And a third pile that showcased that bold, heroic, audacious imagery. We knew our standard project mood board couldn't capture this full range, so we came up with the mood board continuum. For us as designers, it became a compass. When something needed to inspire awe, we leaned towards the majestic. When clarity and precision mattered most, we leaned towards the technical. NASA's teams instantly connected with this, and it gave everyone a shared language to talk about the visual direction of the project. Even better, this continuum mapped to what we found in our research. So often user research feel like it's answering for the UX design or the information architecture, but these thinking styles helped us better understand what kind of visual experience people would want to have. Miss Piggy wants that technical, no-frills data, and Kermit wants to be awed and inspired by the amazing visuals. So from there, our visual design exploration kicked into gear. We explored widely, sketching out dozens of visual directions rooted in that mood board. And the whole design team at Blink was excited to jump in on this part of the process. We explored layouts, we looked at color, typography, depth, shadow, and more. And through this exercise, we were able to really uncover the metaphors that stuck. So let's look at a few. One of the first things that jumped out to us was the red arrow. We found this in the original guidelines, and they used it for their physical wayfinding. And we realized this is perfect for digital wayfinding as well. Wherever you are on the site, finding a red arrow encourages you to keep exploring in new directions. Next were circles. Simple, but circles are everywhere for NASA. They've got planets, moons, engines, craters, the meatball. I could literally go on forever. And we found a way to bring circles into almost every part of the UI. My favorite part is the way that the cutout images feel like little planets floating around on the site. Our third metaphor were these technical details. Every mission control panel, every crew module, every telemetry machine has this look of technical bits and bobs. And I did the whole project, and I still think bits and bobs is the best way to describe that image on the left. We strove to design the UI details to match this. First, we evolved their classic Helvetica to Inter. It's still precise, but it's built for screens. And we paired it with a monospace font that gave the UI a sense of a live data readout. Every label, every stat, every tag was meant to feel like those bits and bobs and be a nod to the real hardware of NASA. Lastly, inspired by the way that NASA's clean technical hardware pairs with that majestic blackness of space, we designed a system that would emphasize the dramatic contrast. We mixed light technical modules with dark immersive ones to give that feeling of high contrast and nod to the experience of being on a mission. These were just some of the metaphors that emerged from our divergent visual exploration, and by prioritizing them, we were able to really feel like we evolved their brand to something that felt personal to them. This evolution felt authentic to who they are now, but deeply rooted in the guidelines from the past. Back to Ben for our third challenge.
So we understood our users, and as Megan talked about, we found a way to evolve NASA's brand through divergent exploration, which brings us to our third massive challenge. How do you get all NASA stakeholders on the same page? As we mentioned, NASA is this sprawling agency, and we had to collaborate with folks across science, tech, design, leadership. We had to lean on NASA's expertise to help shape the work and make sure that the outcomes felt truly ownable across the agency. And here's a recent picture of NASA stakeholders intently watching Megan and I pitch some design work. And here's some of that work. So to show how we optimize for collaboration and feedback, let's walk through the design of our global navigation. We needed patterns that made it easy to explore everything NASA.gov had to offer. So we started with super low fidelity Sharpie sketches, fast, messy, highly iterative. What if the navigation was designed with vertical columns like a contemporary digital product, like you might see in Figma? Or what if we used more of a physical metaphor? This concept was called paper on canvas, and sheets would move around to reveal navigational UI underneath. Or what if we approached navigation like a Murphy bed? Efficient, unobtrusive, built for tight spaces. It shows up exactly when you need it, and it is nearly invisible when you don't, in a highly playful way. We would then take these lo-fi concepts to NASA stakeholders and invite critique. What works? What breaks at scale? Does the metaphor land? The lo-fi designs resulted in high-fidelity feedback, concrete, actionable, the kind of input that shaped the direction and built real ownership for NASA along the way. And I love this Murphy bed idea, so let me show you how it evolved. Here's the initial sketch, just the metaphor. We then sketch it out further, often storyboarding it in that Sharpie fidelity. Then we craft it as a digital sketch, still pretty lo-fi, yielding that hi-fi feedback on how the pattern would work for NASA. From there, we move into medium fidelity, interactive, with real content, but still unpolished. This is the sweet spot for concept testing, getting early user feedback, insights, and real evidence. With all that input, we then bring it to life in full fidelity. This is the Murphy bed menu in action. Hover to reveal everything NASA has to offer, and then it tucks away so the content can really take center stage. I love this thing.
Oh, Ben loves a Murphy bed. If I had a nickel for every Murphy bed I've seen in a sketch session, we would all roll our eyes when that project's adaptation of the Ben Shown Murphy bed would reveal. But I do have to say that of all the clients you've ever pitched a Murphy bed to, I am just so excited for you that NASA was the one to take the bait.
Megan's right, and I'll stand by it.
I'm not, he loves a Murphy bed.
I love this metaphor so much that I bought an actual Murphy bed and I got it installed in my apartment in Boston, and I spent many nights on it thinking about, dreaming about what NASA.gov should be. So I'm here to say, don't sleep on the ideas that you love, unless that idea is the Murphy bed. All right.
Give it up for the Murphy bed.
You don't understand how much
Yeah,
joy it is to talk about Murphy beds in front of all you.
I can just see it
I
in
love
your
it.
face. You're beaming.
So this is how we built trust with NASA, how we made the work stronger. Low fidelity gets you high fidelity feedback. It invites the right conversation. High fidelity tends to pull the feedback towards surface level details. That's when you start debating fonts and colors and photos. Understanding this dynamic helped us learn from NASA's expertise and leave behind something that they could truly own and grow.
All right, now for the moment we've all been waiting for. How did all of this come together on NASA.gov? No surprise, it was built as an atomic design system, starting with tokens. Yeah, atomic design system. Foundations, elements, components, modules, and templates. This system became the durable library for NASA content creators to create sites with consistency and speed. Here's our very sexy reel of how the system translated to the actual site. And you can see that we were just so spoiled with imagery on this site. Like, never have I ever been able to have free imagery that I could just use whatever I wanted, so made it easy. But let's dive into some of the pages. So this one is our topic hub. These pages were designed to be on that majestic end of the spectrum, and it's the Humans in Space topic hub. It's one of my favorites because it's essentially a portal into a world a lot of us will not understand. So, oops. Okay, let's go back. Oh, okay, here we go. Oh, okay, here we got some technical difficulties. There we go. Let's go back to this. Yeah. So, who are the astronauts now? Who came before them? Who what is it like to be in orbit? These were all the questions that the topic hub of Humans in Space was supposed to answer. The next page that was a personal mission for all of us on NASA.gov were the image galleries, because like I said, this project did have the best imagery that we've ever had access to, but the worst website to grab that imagery from. You know, the kind of site where you are looking for something specific, you're scrolling multiple page loads, you think you found it, you click on it, only to be brought back up to the top, and that wasn't the right one. It was a special kind of torture. And now these image galleries are technical when you need to find something specific, and majestic when you want to browse those images one at a time. The true magic of this project, though, was in these modules. These are the keys that unlock that speed and consistency for NASA storytellers, and they now have a toolkit of pre-built page sections to mix and match for any need quickly.
OK, we covered a lot of ground. Let's bring it home. Here's what we're hoping you walk out with today. Real users, they don't sort neatly into one box. They're curious and skeptical, dreamy and practical, and sometimes all in the same visit. Designing across this range is what takes a product from functional to genuinely resonant. And to find your Miss Piggy, every product has a user who's been underserved and underestimated. Serving that person well, that's where the real breakthroughs are.
And my takeaway for you is to design for range and think divergently. As AI tools get better at linking directly into our design system, there's a growing pull towards that visual average. The antidote is divergent human exploration. I urge you to use the extra time you have from these new efficient processes to get into a genuine state of play. Find the unexpected, and protect the part of the process that can help your brand stand out and be unique.
And lastly, we live in an era with tremendous gravitational pull towards hi-fi. The temptation to jump straight into polished design is real, and we're here to tell you, resist it. A Sharpie sketch gives your stakeholders permission to be honest. They're not critiquing craft, they're engaging with concepts. Lo-fi design, hi-fi feedback, we really believe in it. So much so that we've got stickers, lo-fi design yields hi-fi feedback. So if you find me after the conference, I'll gladly give you one of these stickers.
Stickers!
Today, there are over 500 users of the Horizon Design System, people inside of NASA accessing modules and templates via a WordPress CMS and publishing stories at scale on NASA.gov. And this is what we built it for. Earlier this year, Artemis II sent 4 astronauts to the dark side of the moon and back for the first time in 50 years. NASA told that story in real time across every format with the full Horizon Design System toolkit. When a mission of a lifetime happens, you want a design system that's ready. And a great design system isn't about one launch or one site. There's so much value in reuse, helping teams move faster, stay consistent, and build with confidence. And we saw that come to life when we collaborated with NASA on NASA Plus, their official free video streaming service, all powered by the Horizon Design System, as well as the new NASA Kids website experience, which has a very different look and feel for a very different audience, which is in the works and will hopefully launch soon. And a massive shout out to our collaborators at Blink, just a phenomenal crew of designers, researchers, technologists, strategists, big thinkers, many of which are in the audience today, including Mike, who's somewhere in here. He was instrumental in this work, probably my all-time favorite designer.
Okay, whoa.
No offense, Megan. And a huge, incredible thanks to the folks at NASA. Their dedication is unmatched. Working with them was a true masterclass in purpose-driven design. At a time when government work is so deeply undervalued, underfunded, and under threat, their commitment is a powerful reminder of why it matters. These are people not driven by shareholder value, RSUs, or IPO dreams. They're driven by the mission, by curiosity, and the belief that science should serve everyone. Inspired by the team at NASA, this work quickly became less about pixels and UX patterns for Megan and I, and more about possibility. A place where curiosity catches, where science comes alive, and the next generation can take their first steps.
And here's the next generation in our house. I did end up marrying the rocket engineer who put me in that space box. I know. And now he has another one that he can dress in his space costumes. I am training her to call them bits and bobs, though. It's my little protest. So while Eliza will likely get most of her other space knowledge from him, I am honored to be able to tell her that her mom had a part in NASA's brand history, too.
And here's my 11-year-old son, Percy. In this photo, he's absolutely engrossed as a research participant from our recent NASA Kids Science work. For him and for millions of kids like him, NASA.gov is a place that hopefully pulls you in. And if Megan and I have done our job right, it sparks those big questions. What's out there and what's next? Thank you, Config.